You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast.
Hey, what's going on, money makers? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make some more money. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about outsourcing companies with my new friend, Karla Singson. Karla is a seasoned entrepreneur who has started and grown her own brick and mortar and online businesses for over 15 years. Her latest feat includes building her outsourcing company from zero to $1.3 million in revenue per year before spending anything on ads. She now lives in sunny Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and invests in real estate in multiple countries. So this is going to be a fun conversation because this is another one of those side hustle businesses that I really, really love because it can turn into something as big as what Karla's turned it into, or you can keep it on the side. So before we jump into that conversation, if you are curious about how I go about building the relationships with the people that I have here on this show or on my other show, Travis Makes Friends, it has been through the podcast. A good podcast can help you build better relationships, create more social content, build an audience, grow your personal brand. It, can help you sharpen your own expertise in your field of interest. And then if you do it long enough, it could even pay you sponsorship dollars to do all of those things. So for a limited time, I'm reopening my calendar for a couple of one-on-one coaching clients. If you've ever been curious about potentially starting your own show or improving your existing show and you are already a 7, 8, or 9-figure entrepreneur, head over to travischappell.com/coaching. It's a quick application there. We'll see if we might be a good fit to work together to get your show out into the world. travischappell.com/coaching. Karla, what's up? Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Travis, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and share my story.
Hey, well, props to you because where you are in the world right now, it is almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, thank you for taking the time and showing up with bigger energy than I have.
Yeah, I know. I don't usually wear makeup this late, but I actually had a pretty long nap, so I feel very good and excited.
Well, I usually don't wear makeup this early, so
That's true. You beat me there.
let's start with that. Let's start with a softball question here, Karla. How do you currently make money?
So right now, I'm happy to say I have multiple streams of income. But if I was to divide, I would say most of my active income comes from my outsourcing company. I have over 220 team members, and we serve online businesses and mostly agencies. We focus on hiring managerial roles and creative roles like YouTube video editors, Reels editors, project managers, client success managers. So I'm being from the Philippines, I know as an outsourcing company, we're usually bundled with VA agencies, which is very, very different. So we've differentiated ourselves from that. And I think the differentiation definitely helped in the growth of my company. So it's a little lesson for our listeners right there. And I have two brick and mortar businesses. I have a flower shop. I actually still need more sleep from Valentine's Day, which was my Super Bowl. Um, and I have an events company in the Philippines also that serves really big nonprofits. We're an accredited United Nations supplier, and we have pretty large government contracts. So I do marketing consulting basically in my own events company, but because I'm in outsourcing and I like outsourcing and delegating, I've basically outsourced operations. And lastly, between my husband and I, we have about a dozen real estate properties are either for rent or that we're flipping.
Wow, and are those in the US, the real estate?
No, not yet. We're about to start investing in the US. Our
Okay.
properties are in the Philippines and Mexico.
Okay. Wow. So you,
Yeah.
you do one or two things. Let's go back in time a little bit and tell me how you got started. You said, I know you had a brick and mortar or several brick and mortars before this. So talk to me like your beginning of the entrepreneur journey.
Yeah, actually, when we were talking about your audience and what they would love to know, this is what I wanted to talk about. So, how I started my first business, it's the flower shop. And I had no capital. I didn't know anything about flowers, but I sat with myself and I thought, what is a product that people, you know this because you're a guy, people overpay for, but they're okay with it?
Hmm.
And then I realized if I buy a dozen roses from Walmart, it's $12. But if I get it delivered to my girlfriend, my wife, right? My friend, if I'm a dude, then it's $48. And somehow guys just accept this. It's just
It's true.
That's just what it is.
The cost of
How
doing business, you know?
how are guys paying 4x for something that they know they can get for $12? And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And so in college, I started a flower shop on the side while I was a college student. And I did everything. I went on YouTube to find like super basic flower arrangement stuff. And I didn't have a bank account because I was too young. And so I actually took my first payments in Western Union. I sounded like a scammer. And
Yeah, no kidding.
on
Yeah,
the
trust me. Just go to Western Union. Yeah, just
right?
everything's
Oh
okay.
my
Yeah.
God, I'm so grateful that these guys just blindly trust me. And most of all, I actually catfished my way into my first client, not in the way that you guys are thinking, but
Please
this
tell the
was,
story. We got to know.
yes,
We got to know how exactly this happened.
yes. So this was 2008, and social media wasn't big. I guess MySpace was
I was gonna
big,
say
or
this is like right when Facebook came out, but like most people were
yeah.
still using MySpace.
Right, or
Yeah.
Friendster in some countries, they're using Friendster. Um, and so there was no way for me to really like market, and I didn't know how. Even Friendster was a big thing in Asia then, and it was super personal. It wasn't, you don't use it for business, right? So what I did is I pretended to be a guy and I went on male-dominated forums, like sports forums, car forums. I didn't know anything about sports, or I still don't know how football works. I I don't know anything about cars. I was just like this 17-year-old girl. And I used like some dude's name, Dave or something. And I remember in these forums, they would talk about the topic, cars, sports, whatever, but there would always be a general chat. So in
Mm.
the general chat, I would advertise, hey, I have this flower shop business. Any of you guys want to deliver flowers to your wives or girlfriends? If you need it rush, like I'm here to help, send me a message. I got enough clients there. I got referred. I got pretty known in that forum, and then it gave me enough. And then when Multiply, I guess, and Facebook came out, I started like a little shop just through these free social media accounts.
So you didn't even have your own flower shop, or you were delivering for other flower shops, or you
Yeah,
opened your own, or talk to me about the model there.
I almost just did like drop shipping.
Yeah.
So I personally went to flower shops that were super affordable, and then I would resell the flowers online with like 3x the profit. And then I would add stuff. So that's where we really make money in the bundles. So it's flowers, you add a chocolate, you add a teddy bear, you add a balloon. And the flowers, the chocolates, and the teddy bear, I'm sorry, the chocolates, the teddy bear, and the balloons, you can buy them at like Walmart,
Right.
right?
In bulk.
And yeah, in bulk. And so I just kept those at home. I just bought chocolates, balloons,
Yeah.
at home, teddy bears, and then I just buy the flowers from the flower shop and then sell the bundles. That's how I got started. And then
Do,
after 2 years, I got a downtown shop, sold the franchise. We have 13 locations now.
oh my gosh. So when you started, do you remember like the actual dollar figure, like how much money you were making, maybe like on a monthly basis, just reselling flowers?
It's not much. Also, I was living in the Philippines, so I would say in comparison, for comparison, if you were living in the States, I probably made an extra 50 to $200 a week, something to that worth,
Yeah,
which was
which
not bad.
it's well, especially considering that first of all you were 17. And second of all, like that's what a lot of people get paid to work like full-time minimum wage jobs,
True, true.
you know, where you are doing your own thing, working for yourself and building up a client base that allowed you to be able. This is why this probably sound like a broken record to people who listen to the show, but this is one of those things that I love side hustles for. It's like the power of the side hustle isn't just in the ability to make some extra cash on the side. The power is to be able to do it in something like this where you're learning everything about an industry. Like you didn't know anything about flowers when you first started delivering flowers. All you knew is that there's probably a little bit of a markup that I can make here. And if I add some balloons and teddy bears, then I can make a little bit more in that markup than I typically would if I was just doing flowers. And then you start learning more and more and more about being a florist, and then you learn more about where they source their product and how they get it for cheaper and how they run their business. And then a couple of years into it, after you store some cash because you're 17 and don't have a bunch of crazy bills and expenses, you can actually go get your own shop. And then that turned into 13 locations over time. That's why I love the show. I love highlighting stories like this because it's so cool to me, that you were able to turn that into this like burgeoning business that now runs hands off because
Hands
you
off.
are, working on other businesses. But that's the beauty of building a business, is that if you can optimize the system, if you can build the processes and then find people to maintain and improve those processes, then like you don't have to be the person that's in there every single day, doing all the same things that you used to do. So at what point did your husband come into the picture?
Oh, very late.
Okay, so that was
So
recent.
yeah, yeah, super recent. My husband and I met 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, gotcha. Is
Yeah.
he an entrepreneur as well, or what does he do?
Yes, he's an entrepreneur as well. He owns a client success, customer success consulting firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
For like a particular business industry
He
niche?
mostly focuses on B2B online businesses
Okay.
and SaaS. Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. And did you guys meet at some sort of business event or something?
No, actually, we met organically in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Him and I were rebels, and we both left America during the pandemic.
Okay, nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's fun. Okay, cool. So I want to talk about your current business now, Proximity Outsourcing. So you guys are a virtual assistant company, or do you work? Are you focusing on a certain vertical that you place employees for entrepreneurs with? What talk to me about that company and how that came about?
Yeah. So yeah, that's always the funny thing. If it's a Filipino with an outsourcing company, most people think it's a VA agency, but we are a not virtual assistant company. So we don't do virtual assistants. We do managerial roles, project
Okay,
managers, client success managers, things like that, and creatives.
and creatives. So
Yeah.
like video editors, things like that.
Yeah, even podcast producers. We have
Okay.
placed a lot of podcast producers as well.
Okay, awesome, awesome. What talk to me about like the average cost for a client? Like a client wants, their podcast produced. They want, management. What are the benefits of having a client success manager that's based in the Philippines?
Yeah, I think the general angle would be that in the past, people outsourced for tasks. They would have a list of tasks that they don't want to do, and then they outsource it.
Yeah,
That's great. But a lot of entrepreneurs are also now realizing that you can outsource for growth or profit or revenue generation. And so those are the roles that really make a lot of difference for our clients. Like a client success manager, this is our best seller. A really good CSM can help you, of course, take care of retention, maintain, your client relationships, upsell them, get referrals from them, get reviews from them that you can use in your marketing, build a client-led affiliate program, build a community, maintain your newsletter. All of these things will make you money,
mm.
right? And if you can outsource that for under $15 an hour, it really pays for itself many,
Yeah.
many.
Well, we're talking about like a client success manager role. If you're hiring stateside, is what, like 80,
At
90,000 a
least
year, something like
at
that?
least 80K. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah.
when you can get that to be somebody of equal or greater talent for $15 an hour, we're talking about a major, major difference here. And then there's a little bit of pushback that I've heard from people, Carla. And I don't know if you get this sometimes,
Yeah.
where people are like, "Oh, well, they don't like the idea that they're paying somebody like quote unquote that small of an amount of money to do a job or whatever, and they look at it like, oh, you're doing them a disservice and you're hiring cheap labor or whatever." And it's like, this is fantastic income for anybody who's living in these like different countries, right?
Yeah, I know that's a pretty tricky conversation, right? Some people feel guilty the on the other side, some people actually still think that $15 an hour is a lot.
Yeah,
So I
true.
still have some people coming to me and they're like, "Oh, it's not $5 an hour." And I'm like, "What is this, a cigarette?"
Yeah,
Like,
right. Well, that's probably the virtual assistant people, right? The people who are used to
yeah,
like they have their again they outsource some tasks to a VA a few times and they
yeah,
did it for $3.50 an hour. So when they're coming to you and you're talking 15 an hour, they're like, well, that's insane. But obviously, we're not talking about the same. We're not
it's
talking about
not the
comparable
same.
roles. It's like if you
Yeah,
wanted somebody who's a task doer stateside, you could probably get somebody for $15 an hour to do some tasks.
yeah,
But we're talking about replacing a $90,000 salaried employee with somebody who's going to do it for $15 an hour is an insane difference.
yeah, absolutely. So I guess my answer to that would be, um, we in our company we don't just pay really well, that some people literally quit their corporate jobs to work for us, but we also provide really great benefits.
Hmm.
So that's also one of the things that we're really proud about. And I would argue we have probably have one of the best, if not the best, benefits program in the outsourcing world, especially in the Philippines. And this is because I have physical businesses in the Philippines that allows me to buy insurance, healthcare, mental health counseling, a lot of wellness benefits kind of in bulk.
Okay.
um, and also, I think if anyone's thinking of doing the same or hiring an outsourcing company for manager roles, even if it's not us, I would say also look at their upskilling program. So for
Yeah.
us, we do regular accent training because I know that matters to clients, especially client-facing roles like CSMs, intake specialists, things like that, appointment setters. They also get certain certifications. So in the past, ClickFunnels people have learned high level, and then have learned Make, Zapier. So, we always upskill our people. So
Yeah.
I think if you're paying for labor, a CSM, upskilling, accent training, I think $15 an hour makes sense.
Absolutely
Um,
does. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I'm like, what is the average wage for somebody in the Philippines, like on an hourly basis,
for
in
these
like
roles.
USD, like average, salary for somebody?
For these roles, for managerial roles, for a Philippine company, probably would be $2,000 a month,
Yeah. Yeah.
1,500 to 2,500, I would say.
Yeah.
And then minimum wage would be $400 a month.
$400 a month for a minimum
Yeah,
wage. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
a driver. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. So that's what I want to highlight is that like it's not even at first I almost had a problem with it too, Carla, when I first was outsourcing kind of like offshore. I was like, man, this just doesn't seem like a lot of money. Like, is this fair? Is this a livable wage? And I remember I had this team member that was in Colombia, two or three Colombian team
mhm,
members, and I had the advantage of I went to Colombia, and so I had talked to a few other people and asked like what does it look like out here in terms of income, and they're like, well, the average Colombian lives on like $600 a month or something like that. US, like $600 a month,
right.
is what the average is. And I was like, oh, so I'm paying like twice what the average income is for somebody to be a full-time employee with me. But
Yeah,
they're specialized. They're highly specialized. These
yeah,
were people, again, like what you're saying. Like, these are not just lever pullers. These
yeah,
are specialized roles. Somebody with a college degree who's good at this thing and an expert in this thing. And if I were to do that stateside, it would cost me 5 times the amount of money. But because it's over here, I can afford to pay them more than what most people make there. And they're super happy because they're working flexible hours, virtually from home, for an American-based company that knows that like they're going to get paid on time. There's no government corruption involved. It's just like it's actually a pretty sweet setup for everybody
yeah,
involved. So
yeah.
talk to me about how it works with you guys for the client facing side. So you mentioned the benefits piece. So does that mean basically that if you place somebody with me, that they remain an employee of Proximity Outsourcing, and then Proximity is kind of a contractor for me? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, so we are a service. So you're going to be like paying a service, and that includes everything that I mentioned, plus, of course, your legal protection. So one of the things that I unfortunately have seen is, when people outsource to other countries, some of their confidential information or IP would be, um,
At risk.
compromised. Yeah,
Yeah.
at risk. So, the service also includes protection for that, and you're protected under the Philippine law, which means like we can file a case against them if something happens. And, I've been in this business for 8 years. We've helped over 500 companies. I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, but we definitely made the person pay and also sent a message to our client that, hey, we will fight for you until the end,
Yeah.
if whatever happens. So I guess that's also an argument for like working with a company instead of like trying out freelancers,
Sure.
especially if you are not used to it.
And so do you replace people like so just talk to me about your offer. Like how does it if I
Yeah.
came to you and I was like, hey Carla, I want you to place this person inside of my business, a video editor, a podcast editor, a client success manager. What does the
Yeah.
process look like?
So first, we have our needs assessment call, which is going to be me or one of our growth consultants. And then we assess your needs, your expectations. We discuss and agree on success metrics. And then we would create a job description for you completely on the house. Once that is final, we send you a form that will contain the details of your leadership style, communication style, and your company culture, because we also hire according to culture fit, not just skills and experience. Um, and then there are certain sensitive industries too that would prefer to hire certain people, or certain types of people. So there's that. And then once you approve it, we charge a $995 initial investment for the recruitment and onboarding, and there's a complete guarantee on that.
Okay.
After 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to meet three candidates. You're going to get their profiles in advance. You interview them. If you're not happy, we're going to keep looking. If we spent so much time looking and we're both tired, we'll just give you a refund if you're still not happy. It doesn't matter how much work my team has put in it. What really matters to us is your experience. And then after that, we start with your subscription, which you can choose from 10 hours a week to 40 hours a week, which is full time. And then you just pay for the subscription every month, like a cell phone plan.
Okay. Got
And
it.
then, yeah, if we terminate someone, if we have to, we will replace it completely on the house. And because your CSM or the CSM assigned to you has already documented the onboarding, you can be as hands off as you can with that as
Yeah.
well.
Love it. Awesome. Such a great business model. I appreciate you for coming on, Carla. Let's move into a couple like personal finance questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You guys are investing in real estate now. You have put money into developing other businesses. Talk to me about like personal lifestyle expenses for you guys. Like what does that look like for you in terms of like percentage? Like you look at it kind of as a percentage thing. Well, this percentage of everything we make is going to go into investing in real estate, or this percentage is going to go into a retirement plan, or this percentage is going to go directly into savings. Like how do you guys manage that?
Yeah. So I think that right now when I was single, I already did this. 30% of everything I make is investment. And I started investing in real estate. I'm very aggressive with investment. I started investing in real estate when I was 22. So now that I'm 35, I'm pretty much kind of set. Like if I stop working, because of all the work I've put in. And of course, making US money and investing in the Philippines first, where I have obviously great knowledge in the market. My mom also used to be a realtor.
Oh, great.
So that really gave me a lot of insight in the industry. I would say 30% investment, mm, 30% expenses like rent, food, things like that. And then I think the 40% is kind of divided into like health. We spend a lot on our health, like eating a certain way,
Mhm.
IVs, saunas, spa memberships, things like that. Um, and then entertainment is probably, including travel, is probably also 10 to 20%.
Okay.
And the occasional bottle of wine.
Yeah, you got to enjoy life, right?
Yeah.
Um, talk to me a little bit about like your number one piece of advice for somebody who would be listening, if they're just frustrated with their current financial situation and they want to unlock more income for themselves, whether that's a side hustle, it's starting a new business, it's upskilling themselves so that they could get paid more for the work that they're doing. What would be your number one piece of advice for this person listening who wants to go make more money this year?
Yeah. Ooh, that is a little tough, but I realized lately actually that the easiest money I'll ever make is in investing. I'm proud of the businesses I've built. I would consider myself um, I would consider myself a pretty good business person. I've never had a job, and I know that whatever I start, it's gonna be great, right? I don't think I'll fail anymore because of, or maybe the way I define failure, right? I
Sure. Yeah.
fail, but like I don't think it's a failure. Um, but I recently realized that the easiest money I'll ever make is in investing, whether that's like index funds or even a time deposit or even in real estate, waiting for it to appreciate. And it's so funny because I realized like, wow, for me to make $5,000 in the past, I would have to work this much, but now I just have to work this much.
Hmm.
But then how do you get to that point of investing or having money to invest? It is to increase your income. That's really it. There's no way around it, to have more disposable income, to have more extra
Yeah.
after your expenses. And so I guess the my one piece of advice is, wherever you are in your life right now, whether you have a job, you're a stay-at-home mom, you have a business, always think of an easier way to do what you're doing and also making more money.
Yeah.
So an easier way, but making more money. I've realized that whatever job I have, I there's always an easier way to do it. So now I'm less stressed. And then there's also a way to make more money. Like for example, my outsourcing company, I started out as a VA recruitment company and I charged $300 to find you your VA. And then after that, thank you, give me a testimonial, maybe refer me to your friends. I went to this mastermind. I was making like 2,000 bucks a month. It was a side hustle. I went to this mastermind and one guy was like, hold on. So if people are happy with you, you're gonna just let them go? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. And he said, no, like build in something recurring. And then it opened my mind. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, what else do they need? So, oh, they wanted the benefits, they wanted more support. I just refined my offer throughout the years, but I've always found ways to make more money, just like in an easier way, just like the flowers. To
Yeah.
arrange a bouquet probably takes, if you're a newbie, it will take you 20 minutes. But to add the chocolate, the bear, and the cake will just be an extra, also 10 minutes. But now you're making four times more.
Right.
So I think if you, wherever you are in life, if you just think about that, there's ways to make more money, and then you have more money to invest, to do the easiest way, the easiest to make the easiest money you'll ever make.
Yeah. You gotta increase the delta, right? The delta
Yeah.
between what you make and what your expenses are. You have to
Yeah.
increase that, which is there's only two levers to pull to increase that delta. Number one is cutting expenses. And it's like
Yeah.
everybody should think about that. Absolutely. I'm not trying to downplay that.
Yeah.
Financial literacy, discipline, sticking with a budget, those things are important. But you can only cut so much. Like that,
Yeah.
like that's where I like that's where I take up an issue with some of the personal finance spaces. Like they're just constantly talking about like, well, no more Starbucks, and don't ever, if you're buying groceries, don't include steaks in that. You got to just do chicken or whatever. It's just like, okay, but at what point though are you just completely never enjoying any part of life? Like, well,
Yeah.
we can't take that trip this year because we just don't have enough, and it would take money from our retirement plan, so we can't take that trip. And it's like, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, and it just puts you in this like this scarcity mindset about money, and makes you really it makes you married to the number in your bank account, which to me just is not a great mindset for growing wealth. So you can only cut so much until you're just done. You know what I mean? And then so the only other lever to
Yeah.
pull at that point is you got to be able to increase your income.
Yeah.
And then the hardest part is probably Once you increase your income and that delta starts to increase, you cannot just take that delta and then go blow it on lifestyle bloat and then go
Yeah.
get two more cars and then go upgrade your apartment, and then your rent is higher and your car payments are higher, and now all of a sudden the extra income that you're making is also gone. It's like you got to be able to have the plan, be disciplined, and stick to that plan, and then increase your ability to earn, and then don't increase your expenses, so that you can take that delta and put it into something else, whether it's an investment into a real estate project or it's investment into your knowledge, so that when
Yeah.
you have enough excess, you can buy a real estate project with more confidence because you've been investing into your skill set and investing into your knowledge base to make it to where you are setting yourself up like you have, Karla, where it's like now you feel really confident that you can go and buy an investment property, and the numbers will pan out at least to a certain degree around what you're projecting because you've done it time and time again and you increase your knowledge base. So yeah, I'm totally on board. Love the plan. Thank you so much for doing this, Karla. You're awesome. Where can people go to learn more about you, what you got going on? If they want to get in contact with you for any of your businesses or just want to see some of the content you're putting out, where can they go?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. I'm mostly active on there, Karla Singson or Karla Stefan Singson. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I manage my own accounts. So it's gonna be me who's gonna be replying to you. I'm not as famous as Travis. But also, if you want to work together, you can visit our website. Or if you're curious, we're always open for a conversation. We also love educating people about our industry and how we can grow your business by hiring managers and salespeople and creative people from the Philippines. So proximityoutsourcing.com. Also, if you mention this podcast, please let me know and I'll give you a very special treat and a huge discount off of your onboarding.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. For everybody tuning in, Proximity Outsourcing. Go check out Karla Singson. That's Singson, Karla Singson, on
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Go check out some of the stuff that she's putting out. Love the story, love the journey. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Karla. Everybody else listening, tuning in, remember, money only solves your money problems. Then you're left with the problems that money can't solve, but they're a little bit easier to solve. You got some money in the bank. So let's solve that one first here on the Travis Makes Money podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time. Peace out.